Hello, welcome to the Free Bin, the Toledo, Oregon Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Cindy.
And we are here to talk about the digital world and how we entered it. And this is all leading into our digital literacy workshops that we're doing in partnership with the Public Library Association with support from AT&T.
That's right.
So before we get started chatting about this, I will let Cindy share with you what we're going to be doing.
Okay, well, I want to mention a couple things before I dig into that because it's a lot of information. But we are having a couple events coming up in January. We're having the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, January 25th. 2:00 in the library meeting room downstairs. This is a really special program, and I'm hoping that we'll get a good turnout. So our special guest speaker is Deb Mrauka, who speaks on behalf of her mother, Eileen Hoekstra. Eileen was imprisoned in Westerbork concentration camp, and the things that she endured are unimaginable. She wrote a book, and we'll be sharing about that. But her daughter is coming to share her story, answer questions. She's bringing some artifacts from her mother's life. And I think it's just so, so important for people to take a moment just to remember that really horrific time in history. There were millions of people affected by that, 6 million Jews, but also 5 million other people just because they were different, were put into concentration camps or just outright killed. For me, I think the really heart-rending part of that is the program that they had for disabled people. They would ship them off to hospitals saying that they were going to help them, and then they would mysteriously die, and their parents never knew what happened, but they were secretly being killed. And I think that this is such a good time. I know that it's a hard thing to think about, but I think it's really important that we do that and just take them a moment to remember. And then you have an announcement.
Yes. On the 17th is the first meeting of our Dungeons and Dragons, what would you say, contingent interest group club. It'll be an information and interest meeting. So we won't be you won't be playing D&D at this session. It'll be establishing what we want this D&D program to look like moving forward.
Right.
So the 17th at 4:00. 4:00
in the library, not downstairs. It'll be upstairs. We're trying to kind of gauge what's going to happen because we, the library is used for a lot of things, and we're really trying to find the perfect time to have our D&D group meet and do their D&Ding. Of a better word.
Dungeoning and dragoning.
And I think that if people can come and say, hey, I'm interested, and I can meet at this time, or maybe I need to meet at this time, we can kind of gauge some interest and figure out who our DMs are and how we're going to run that. So it's exciting. We're excited.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
Because we have been this has been on the back burner for a while, and after Holo D&D's success, it would be super nice to have a group that meets regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, boy, oh boy. So the Public Library Association and AT&T have a grant program. And we won a grant, which is pretty exciting. And we are able to bring to the library digital learning workshops. And these are really geared towards people who look at a computer and think, oh my gosh, I don't want to break anything, and are afraid that they might mess something up. There's a lot of you out there, including myself. I kind of include myself in that because, I didn't grow up from like kid land to have computers like kids today. Everything's digital, but I did not grow up that way. So for me, there's always that back of my mind. I'm going to break this if I do it wrong. And the best thing about when I came to work at the library, you and Denise kept telling me, there's nothing we can't fix. Mm-hmm. So that was very much a confidence builder. So some of the offerings that we're giving through these workshops, the curriculum comes from AT&T and the PLA. It's very basic, but I think I'm going to read a little bit of a description about the ones that we're offering for adults. Adults, I'm going to include our high school kids too, mm-hmm. like high school and up. So the digital learning workshops that we're offering, and I will have... we'll have the classes and the dates posted for you guys, and I'm going to explain that in a second. Internet Basics is learning about search engines and the internet and navigating around websites. If you've never done an internet search, or you do an internet search and you get 1 million hits back, mm-hmm. it's like you can learn to search more effectively. And that's part of it. Cybersecurity Basics. Learn how to be safe online with your passwords and your accounts and to avoid frauds and scams. I think that is one we all need a refresher course on.
Changes all the time.
That's right. They're getting smarter, them scamsters. Is that a word, scamsters?
It is now.
Okay, I like it. Email Basics. Learn how to set up and use a Gmail email account. So if you want to make an email account to communicate with businesses, or if you're an online shopper or want to be, then you need to set up an account, and this will help you do that safely with good passwords and really give you some good insights. Mobile device basics, learning the features and functions of an Android or an iOS tablet or mobile device. And this one's going to be a little trickier. We may have to divide and conquer with you and I. I'm an iPhone person, and you're an Android person.
I am a simple Android man. Yes.
And so we might have to divide the group. If you do iOS and you do an iPad or an iPhone, you might come with me, and then we'll switch and mm-hmm. let a group go with Harrison too. And then the last one we're offering is video conferencing basics. Learn how to set up and participate in a video conference using Zoom. If you go, what's a Zoom? Then you need this one. You need to come and do this. Some of you might be familiar with it at work, but maybe you've never set up the meeting, and mm-hmm. you need to learn how to do that. And Zoom can be a lot of fun. I know that there are groups that our book clubs meet on Zoom, and trivia groups meet on Zoom. So there's a lot of fun things you can do on Zoom with your friends. It's free for anybody. And we are encouraging you to sign up. We have a limited amount of laptops mm-hmm. that we can let people use. And so we're trying to make sure that we have enough and that we can accommodate as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. But another one we're really excited about, part of this grant that we got, is our Family Digital Donuts. So our Family Digital Donuts is 3 classes that are geared towards parents and kids to help your child be safe and confident on the internet. Each finished class will receive a certificate, and if you finish all 3 of the classes together, so if you do all 3 as a family, you're going to receive a prize package to get your family started on your digital journey. Now, I don't know what's in it yet. That's something Harris and I are working on, mm-hmm. but it's going to be cool. So those are running once a month on a Saturday, starting in February. And they're in the mornings from 10 to 11:30. We're doing Internet Basics, which I talked about. And my description of this is, you might know your mobile phone, but do you know your laptop? Mm-hmm. Or your desktop? And are you confident that your child knows which websites are safe, and can they find their way around the World Wide Web without letting viruses in? Mm-hmm. The second one is March 8th from 10 to 11:30, cybersecurity, and it isn't safe out there. I know it. You know it. If you want to be confident in your own computer security and your own child's safety online, mm-hmm. then this is the class for you. And I think for kids to kind of understand how it all works, how they can be secure. I know that they learn it in schools, I see it. I mean, I taught it in schools. I've seen it taught in schools. But I think sometimes when they sit down with their mom and dad and they realize that it's not, that there's just a lot of stuff out there that just isn't safe.
A lot of things are built to be easy these days.
Right.
We experience the internet more through apps than we used to. And so it's easy to get what you want, do what you want. It's also a lot easier to get yourself into situations you don't want to be in.
Right. And then the third one, Saturday, April 12th, 10 to 11:30, mobile device basics. And it's how can you get the most out of your mobile device? How can you make sure that your device is secure and safeguarded from all the stuff out there? We'll all figure it out together. And so I'm excited about the ones with kids. We're asking for, if your kid has a mobile device and like an iPhone or a tablet, maybe they're 8, 9 years old. I think that's kind of about the age we're looking at for kids coming with parents. If you need childcare for younger children, please just let us know way in advance, because that's something that the grant helps us provide. We just need to figure out the logistics of it. Mm-hmm. So that's our grant, and I am excited about that. All the information will be posted on the internet, on Facebook, the Facebook app, on your phone.
You can also come, if you're hearing this, you're using a digital device, I'm guessing, unless you went to a lot of trouble to get this onto a cassette tape.
Right.
You can also, if you know someone who's interested, who maybe is not in a position to be even hearing us talk on a podcast, they can come to us as well. Yes. They can call. We exist in the physical world as well.
We do. We're
and
not
the workshop
just digital.
Will be happening in the physical world.
That's right. It's very hands-on. That's what I like about it. The presentations that we will be giving are all provided for us. And so it's very hands-on. And the family digital donuts, just by virtue of the name, means there'll be donuts.
Yes.
Every Saturday morning. Donuts.
And the donuts will themselves be analog.
That's right.
You'll be able to put them in your mouth and chew them and swallow them.
They will exist in the real world.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Wonderful. All right. So we're going to chat just a little bit about how we started using computers.
Yes. Do we want to do the thing you brought?
Yes. First, our beverage of the day.
Woohoo!
This is the Body Armor Super Drink for hydration, superior hydration.
Ooh.
10% coconut water, electrolytes, antioxidants, B vitamins, natural flavors and sweeteners. The flavor is blackout berry.
Okay. I'm a little concerned because, blackout berry suggests several things.
It does.
Like what berry?
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Am I going to black out?
Yeah. Blackout berry. That's
okay. Just give me a little. I'm not a big,
give you a little bit.
Not a super big fan of electrolytes drinks. I've had to do that for a medical thing, and yay, kind of sick of them. It became like a cocktail party at my house. Pour in a little Powerade, a little cranberry juice, a little squirt.
All right. It's reddish.
Ooh, it smells
kind of cloudy.
It smells a little like cough syrup.
It does smell maybe more than a little like cough syrup. All right, let's see.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. Just tastes like juice.
It does. What's the sugar thing in it?
The sugar is, let's see, pure cane sugar.
Oh.
And does it have another one in there?
Fructose or sucrose or?
No, just
pure cane
just
sugar.
Cane sugar.
Mm.
Yeah. 50 grams of sugar in this whole thing, if we were to drink the whole thing.
Oh, thank God.
There are 2.5 servings per container.
That's when you black out.
Yeah, that's when you black out. that's good berries. I drink the juice and I wake up and I don't know where I am and my hands are bleeding and I'm wearing somebody else's clothes and I'm screaming and I'm all out of juice.
That's right. Well, that's a risk you got to take. I guess.
Great juice requires great sacrifice.
Brings back a little bit of the communion juice from church.
Oh.
Some of you will know what I'm talking about. It is a little grapey, a little berry-y, but it's not bad. And the problem I have with electrolyte drinks is the saltiness. Yeah. They taste salty. This doesn't have that. So
the 50 grams of sugar helps cover up the saltiness.
No kidding. That's why it's called like super drink or whatever. It just hypes you up with sugar. I feel great. Oh,
all right.
Okay.
So we were both born in the 1900s.
Gasp.
And so we were born at different times, but we both experienced having the internet, having commonplace computers coming into existence.
Right.
And a lot of adults now these days have always had access to some degree of digital infrastructure and technology in the world.
Right. So if we go way back in time when I was a teenager, the music player of choice was an 8-track tape. Mm-hmm. Now, I did do record players, and I love a good record player because I love the sound of a record. And that brings back memories for me. Again, we started in my home as a child with a record player. Then we graduated to 8-track tapes in the car. Then cassette tapes. I still have cassette tapes at my house and a cassette player because you can't get them anymore. There's old groups from the 70s and 80s that I like that are only on cassette. Then CDs, and then suddenly it turned digital, which was like baffling to me. Although, for some reason, the Bluetooth in my car stopped working on my phone, so I have dug into my CDs, and now I'm playing them in my car. So some technology just needs to stay around.
Yeah, everybody had the big CD binder,
in
between the seats with all the CDs.
Yeah,
often all scratched up from rattling around in the car.
That's right. So my introduction to computers was in the early 80s, 1982. I took a computer programming class in college, and it was in its infancy, right? So the computers were bulky and big, and I think the one thing I learned in that class was how to write a code that would ask the computer, "How's the weather today?" And it would reply, "Fine," and then on a loop. I don't remember how to do that. And so that was my introduction. Now, I was an adult at that time, allegedly. I was in my 20s, almost. And so that's my introduction. But you were a kid when computers.
Yeah, so I was born mid-'80s, so I remember... The Macintoshes at the Leroy Collins Leon County Public Library in Tallahassee, and going in and asking at the desk for the floppy with Oregon Trail or Odell Lake and all of those Number Munchers, those games and stuff. That was neat because it was color monitors. On those Macintoshes, which are nice. And at one point, we did get a computer in our house. My mother did medical transcription for a while. Yeah. And my dad used it for work. I don't remember exactly where the computer came from, but it was, it ran DOS. You remember the green on black monitors? Oh, yeah. I thought those were super cool because we had the harsh yellow on black monochrome monitor. Yeah. And when I'd see someone running DOS with the green text, I was like, oh, that must be so pleasant. And so you turn the thing on. It had that little a ring key like the little machine thing to turn it on. And we had some fun with that. My parents, when they, had learned how to use it, they taught me kind of how to navigate DOS, how to navigate a command line interface, because that's the only interface we had.
Right.
And it had like typing tutor on there, had print shop that we could print onto the continuous roll of paper.
With the little perforated holes in the sides. Yep.
Oh, and you'd do such fun things with the little perforated strips when you peel them off. You'd make a little, fold them over each other and make the little springy thing.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, by 1983, I was married. By 85, I had a child. So we didn't really have them in the house because they were expensive. I mean, compared to now. And so when we had our third son, he was 3 or 4 years old, and he was diagnosed with autism. And they told us at that time that if he could have a learning games, like I don't remember what they were. There were math games, Math Munchers maybe, or something like that. And if he could do that on a computer, it would help his learning. And granted, they were probably right. I mean, and so we, being the parents that we were, a little shell-shocked by the autism diagnosis, decided we better do that. And I remember we kind of went into a little bit of debt to buy a Apple computer. And it was the cream-colored, tannish, square monitor, like, 12-inch monitor. It wasn't very big keyboard, big monitor. And I remember it being set up, and our son would come home from school, and he would do his little Math Munchers or whatever they called it. And there were several other games. There's an army game, like an Army Man game.
I'm trying to think.
And
I remember.
But after all the kids would go to bed, then we would dial up that AOL. And it made that horrible sound, which I can't emulate, but it was, kind of a, kind of sound.
Should I try?
Sure, go ahead. I think you nailed it.
And then if you accidentally dialed, we didn't have AOL. We first had Freenet, which was Tallahassee local telnet system.
Right.
And so after you'd hear that noise, if you accidentally dialed somebody's phone number, then you'd hear from your modem, "Hello? There's nobody there. Hello? Click."
Yeah. I just remember it took forever. And the reason that we would do that, and this is how nerdy we are, is that there was an online Star Trek trivia game.
Nice.
Online, and it would come up, and it was, obviously there's no video. It's just typed in. So they would put in the question, and then you'd have to type the answer super fast and hit enter before anybody else. And I remember we did that quite a lot. We would play that game. It was like every night. And so we are, yes, Star Trek nerds who know a lot of things about a lot of weird stuff. But that was the game. And, we really didn't have anything beyond that cell phone wise, because then cell phones came out, and I couldn't tell you what year it was, because I did not get a cell phone until I was way into adulthood. Till my kids were probably in high school. And I remember finally giving in and buying my daughter a cell phone, putting her on our plan, because I was super tired of not knowing where she was when I went to pick her up after school. And I would get to school, and I would wait, and I would wait, and I would wait. And she would, mosey out 15 minutes later. And I remember just being so irritated by that. And I'm sorry, honey, I love you. But finally we got her a cell phone, and I remember thinking, this really isn't like for her convenience. It's for my convenience.
There are so many frustrations that there were whole movies and episodes of TV shows that were based around, that were completely eliminated from society by the ubiquity of cell phones.
I know.
Like how many times in high school it was like, yeah, we'll go meet out in front of Dillard's, and then two of you would be there and nobody would show up. And then you're like, do we leave? Do we wait more until they show up? And then you never see your friends. And then you see them at school the next day and you're like, where were you? And like, we were at the Dillard's. And we're like, which Dillard's? Oh no, you were at the wrong Dillard's. We said this Dillard's. And you'd have a whole full 24 hours sometimes before you'd even resolve a misunderstanding.
Right. And that's kind of, I think cell phones, to me, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I kind of wish we didn't have them. And that's an old lady talking, so don't get on me about that.
Well, now we've got the Gen Zers and younger are also in some areas swinging that way.
Yeah,
I am turning my phone off when I am off work, that kind of thing, which is good.
I think humanity doesn't balance well. We don't balance work and life well. We really have to work at that, and I think we don't balance our online and offline time well. And I will defend that to the grave. So go ahead, come at me. Because I don't do it. I don't do it well. And I get this little pop-up on my cell phone every week that says, you have spent, an average of 4.5 hours a day on your cell phone. I'm like, holy cow, what the heck? When did I do that? And I think that time slips away and I hear a lot now, and I think you're right, that the generation that is way below me is going, I like living in the moment. Why am I recording this? And I'm going to watch it later 1 or 2 times, show a friend. But right now is right now. And I think we all need to be a little more mindful about that.
Yeah, I grew up, I was kind of entering into adolescence when there was still a lot of optimism about what was possible with technology.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we've seen in a lot of cases the promise of new technologies just sort of leveraged to perpetuate pre-existing problems by, and the things that were meant to be liberating then become the same old patterns repeat sometimes. And so I think that younger folks who have grown up since then have a little bit more of a realistic attitude. They still have the optimism, but they understand how things can be, are not maybe inherently good in and of themselves. They have to be used wisely and with a certain approach in mind.
Right.
Whereas I was all, as soon as we got a dial-up modem, I was all on the Yahoo chat rooms.
Right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about those. Phew. There's a lot of good. I really think I don't want to be like, technology, because I really think we live in a digital world, and these classes that we're doing are to help people learn how to navigate it safely and confidently, so that they can make choices about where they want to be and what they want to be doing online. But I do think that as parents, we have to teach our kids that. You have to teach your kids balance. And if you don't, then you're going to end up with a kiddo who can't put their phone down at night. If you don't set boundaries, you're going to end up, going in at 1 o'clock in the morning, your kid's online on TikTok watching people do stupid things. And I think that that's all part of the parenting picture. But you have to teach your kids how to monitor themselves, because after a while, at a certain age, I don't want to monitor them anymore. Yeah. You're like 14 years old, figure it out. And that sounded really harsh. Sorry about that. But, we work really hard by teaching our kids up to a certain age, and that age differs, I think, for kids. And then suddenly we're like, okay, now you got to fly. Now you got to go. And that's as hard for us as it is for them sometimes. But I think if you can teach them really strong balance when they're little, and say, screen time's okay for this amount of time, but then you need to go outside. you know, or you need to create, or you need to read. Oh, big library push here. Read your books. And I think that that's really the key to learning how to balance. If we start with kids, you know, that are young, then they're going to be okay when they're older, and they're going to be able to make really good choices about how much time they spend online. But I think that there's just so much damage. I've watched kids just struggle through what they're seeing or what they're doing, or the voices that are feeding them, you know, especially young girls. I think research has shown us that girls struggle because of the social implications of online. So no matter what you think about it, there's stuff out there that's hurtful.
It's part of our landscape,
yeah,
our social landscape. It's part of our, a lot of the things that apply in the physical world apply in the digital world.
Absolutely.
And so there's wonderful stuff. There's opportunity. There are things to do. It's wonderful, and it's dangerous, and it's beautiful and filthy and weird, and just like the physical world is.
Right.
You know, just like if you're going to go see a new city and it's fantastic, but you also need to know how, you know, not to get
mugged.
Yeah, not to get mugged.
Stay out of South Chicago.
Know who's a real taxi driver and who's not, right? You want to climb a mountain, that entails a risk of falling off a mountain, right? So it all, it's the same. And I feel like there's a false dichotomy that people throw up in front of themselves of like that there are computer people, and then there are people who aren't computer people.
Right.
And you hear that from people who have decided they're not computer people.
Yeah.
And really that's just a story. There is no delineator of that. We learn the skills we need to learn to do the things we need to do or have to do.
Right.
And to draw that line or to imagine that line that doesn't exist really is just limiting yourself and keeping you dependent and putting other people in the position of having to do things for you. And it may be convenient to keep yourself dependent in that way, but it really doesn't serve anyone to have you not have that agency for yourself, to roam free on your own terms.
Right. And I think it's like that. What's that saying that if you give a person a fish, they eat for one day. If you teach them to fish, they eat for the rest of their lives. I think that's kind of applicable to computer skills. I can help you print a document or find a website, but I can also teach you to print a document or find a website. And I think then I don't have to teach you again, and you are on your own, and you can do it for the rest of your life. So, you know, I think our PLA stuff and the AT&T digital stuff is really for people who are ready to kind of break out of that I'm not a computer person, or I'm going to break it, or, you know, maybe I do want to look for a new job and they just don't put them in the newspapers anymore. Put everything online. Maybe I need to set up a LinkedIn account, or I need to do some things to further my career, or maybe I really want to know about that Mommy and Me blog that everybody's talking about. We can help you do that. we can help you learn how to do that. And that's what makes me excited is I love to see people learn. Adult learning is one of my favorite things, and watching somebody go from being really hands off to really being able to navigate it is just an amazing thing to me.
Yeah. And there's still so much with all the hazards of the online world as well as the physical. There's so much cool stuff out there.
There is.
And it's, in a lot of ways, we are living in the gritty cyberpunk future that we had envisioned. And I sometimes reflect on the fact that I found myself now, you know, having grown up with things like depictions of hacking the mainframe. For some reason, that was always the thing.
Do you want to play a game?
By somebody. And now as an adult, it's like it's part of my job to take like cheap hardware and
Right.
like old things and take it apart and provide it to people and do things to it and like provide technology
You're
to
hacking
the
the
masses.
mainframe.
And it's like, and from a certain perspective, this is kind of like what you dreamed you might be
Right.
doing, but it doesn't feel as cool as it did
Yeah.
with the always that shot of somebody working on a computer and there's like that harsh red lighting and
Yeah.
somehow the text is like projected onto their face while they're like
Right.
frantically typing in the back of a van. I don't know.
Right,
It's
right.
a little, it's qualitatively different. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we need fingerless gloves. I think that would make it, and like
Make
some
it cool.
weird haircut. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
would make it more.
Yeah. We need a dark room in the glow of the green monitor.
Yeah,
But it
we
can't
need
be a
that.
flat screen monitor. It,
It
has,
can't.
to,
It has to be a CRT.
has to look like the real thing.
It's only cool if there's a CRT.
Oh yeah. Well, if you missed the reference to WarGames, is that the name of that show with Matthew Broderick?
I'm familiar, but I don't think I've ever watched
WarGames
that
is
one.
like have Matthew Broderick in it and somebody else, and it's literally like this kid hacks into this computer, and the computer's like, "Do you want to play a game?" And they're playing nuclear reactor meltdown or something, and it's really happening in the real world, and it's pretty funny. I mean, looking back now, it's not going to be cool. There's no CGI, but I mean, it is pretty much a classic computer hack movie. So there's a lot going on. Anyway,
So if you're at all interested, if you know someone who might be interested or need to spread the word.
And I didn't mention, so one of these things this would be really good for, and I've seen this happen in the past, is around, birthdays and Christmas time, someone like a well-meaning grandchild will buy an iPad for their grandparent so they can talk. Mm-hmm. And the grandparent's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so that's the perfect person. Come in and we'll teach you how to do that, so that you can do those things. Send emails to people and communicate with people. Learn how to send pictures in an email. Learn how to, set up a video conference with you and your buddies, maybe a high school reunion, or, there's so many opportunities out there to do really cool stuff. And it's not hard, and you won't break anything.
No.
We won't let you.
And if you break something, a lot of times that's an opportunity to learn how to fix it.
That's right. And I've had to do that a lot. How do I get this back? Anytime, come by the library. We can talk more about the kind of content we're going to have in these workshops. And we really, really want people to come. This was such a cool grant to get. And I think we were one of 100 libraries in the nation. So that's cool.
Nice.
And I'm super proud of that for our library.
Me too.
And
Well
don't
done.
forget the Holocaust program
Yes.
either. January 25th, 2:00.
Yes.
All right.
All right. We will talk to you all next week.
All right. See you later.
More Blackout Berry?
No, thank you.
The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Harrison Baker, Cindy Balek, and Denise Marsh. Original music and editing by Harrison Baker. That's me. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organizations they represent. Good night.